Morning, Nigel.
Morning.
Let's get your final thoughts on Saturday's defeat to Cambridge.
Well, having watched the game back, it just backs up what we said on Saturday. It was never ever a 3-0. And some of our football between the penalty areas was as good as it's been in recent weeks. So it was a funny one, difficult to know how to take it really. One thing was absolutely blatantly obvious is that we have to improve in both penalty areas, and especially defending. There's an element of balls not bouncing for us in their box certainly, and not getting a break. We were pretty close. Jordan Barry scoring in the first half, Harry Charsley, and a couple of others, but we're getting in some really good situations. It's not quite dropping, but defensively we have to do better. Teams aren't pounding us. Stoney's not having 10, 15 shots to save in a game. So the odd time we do have to defend, we've got to do it better than we are at the moment, because that's the goals against. Goals scored, we're all right. We're up there with, I think, most teams in the league. But it's the goals against that has to improve.
Yeah, that was the difference, wasn't it? Because you created a couple of chances in the first half, matched Cambridge,
Yep.
and then in the second half they showed their ruthlessness.
They did, and they didn't have any more chances in the second half. They just put the ones away that they did have. And they've got a striker in form, in Mullin. Ironside was a handful, and then they've got one of the best players in the league in Wes Houlihan, which we highlighted before as will probably be the difference. Not a lot between the teams. When you think they're top of the league, and I think we've dropped down to 18th, there's not a lot of difference between the teams. There isn't in the whole league.
Harrogate away tomorrow. What are you expecting from that one?
Oh, a tough one. We know from the game when we played them at home not so long ago, when they nicked a 1-0 against us, they're as competitive and as physical in the right way as any team in the league. I think they've come into the Football League and got such a lift from it, and they've battled and scrapped everything they can to stay in the league. They close you down and they stop you playing as well as anybody. So we've got to deal with that and play, but also deal with their threat.
Yeah, that 1-0 reverse fixture at the One Call Stadium wasn't the best night for Mansfield Town. What did you learn about Harrogate on that night?
Just that they were exactly what we talked about, how competitive they were, and once they got that lead, they were throwing bodies in front of it and fighting like hell to hang on to it, as they are with their league status. So I think they've had a brilliant first season in the Football League.
Can you sort of use that 1-0 loss as motivation for your players to sort of put that right?
Yeah, we'll certainly be mentioning it, but the only motivation we need is the last week. To play as well as we have done in patches and come out with 1 point out of 9, more than patches, is incredibly unfair and unjust on us. Without doing too much differently, it could easily have been 7 points this week.
The postponements, the prolonged break, that's clearly had effects on results. You've been happy with the performances, but is it now just about getting a win by any means necessary?
Definitely. In the next couple now, I think the next 4 games we look at, and good games for us to have. We need to get some points on the board to make sure we don't get dragged back in and try and get back in the top half of that league.
One of the main positives on Saturday, Nigel, was the appearances from Jason Law, Tyree Sinclair from the bench. You spoke about them on Saturdays. Is there possibly a chance that they could feature tomorrow?
Yeah, of course. We've seen a bit of Tyrese before, but it's the first time we've managed to get Jason Law on. He's impressed us in training with his play. I think he's sort of improved week by week with training with the first team. And when you get people like Stephen Quinn around him, when he came in a few weeks ago, I said to Jason Law, have a look at him, watch what he does in training every day. He's played at the highest level Premier League internationals, and almost not model yourself on him, but just take note of the sort of things he does and what you need to do to play at that level. And as I say, we've seen improvement, I think, week on week, and he'll get some game time between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, it's quite a young squad on the whole, but
Yep.
that experience in the ranks, Stephen Quinn, James Perch, that must be really important for the youngsters.
Absolutely vital, because when you think if Kellen plays right back, we've said it before, that means that the goalkeeper, right back and 2 centre halves are all under 24, which is unusual for League Two in itself, and there's a lot of room, I think, and scope for improvement within it.
Is it sort of a different prospect making your first team debut as a young player now? Because obviously they work so hard to get into the first team, and usually they're hit with the crowd noise and the atmosphere, but that's different this season, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The only sort of thing they've had a taste of it sitting on the bench, in terms of sitting in empty stadiums and getting a sense of the atmosphere at the games, but they will notice a difference next season when they're playing in front of crowds. It's one of the things as a young player that you have to get adjusted to. But the biggest thing is getting him adjusted to playing first team football, and he's one we think in the next couple of years could do that. He's not 17, 18 either. He's not as if you're putting in somebody that young. He's had a little bit of experience, but first time he's sort of come on for the first team.
Let's get a bit of team news, Nigel. You spoke about Kellen Gordon there. Does he have a chance for tomorrow?
Yeah, we're hoping Kellen's going to train. Whether he's fit enough to start the game, we'll see. But if we don't get him for Tuesday, then we can certainly hope for him for next Saturday.
Any other team news to report on from the treatment table?
No, just one or two knocks and things like that from a tough week. Stephen Quinn's got a couple of knocks. I think James Perch has. So we'll just have a count up and get a decent 11 out there to have a go at Harrogate.
Thanks, Nigel. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.